नमस्ते। फिर हम आपके सामने हाजिर हैं। हर मंगलवार को आते हैं किसी न किसी एक शख्सियत को लेके, वो अपने पॉइंट ऑफ व्यूज़ हमें शेयर करते हैं ऑन स्पिरिचुअलिटी। अभी रक्षाबंधन गई और कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी भी हो गई। ये त्योहारों का टाइम चल रहा है। अभी गणेश का भी महोत्सव आएगा। बैंकॉक में भी अच्छी तरह से मनाते हैं। चलो, आज का जो टॉपिक है अनकंफर्टेबल क्वेश्चंस, and I'm also interested to know, I'm also curious to know this one. What is uncomfortable questions? हमारे साथ जुड़ रही हैं डॉक्टर मनीषा बोस, जो पहले भी आई थी। वो लेक्चरर हैं एबैक यूनिवर्सिटी में, और ऐसे ऐसे सवाल पूछती रहती हैं जिनको हम भी चाहते हैं कि हाँ, ये आए और सवाल पूछें हमारे स्पीकर से। तो हमारे लास्ट एपिसोड में उन्होंने एक जो क्वेश्चन आंसर किए थे, काफ़ी व्यूअर्स को पसंद आया। तो इस टाइम में भी हम मनीषा को बुलाते हैं और हमारे साथ जुड़ रहे हैं स्पिरिचुअल सोल श्री पवन कुमार मिश्रा जी। Pawan Kumar Mishra ji is an international known astrologer, Vastu consultant, and life coach. Above all, he is an author of magnanimous book Living in Hanuman. Living Hanuman के ऊपर उन्होंने एक किताब लिखी है. He comes from Vedic tradition of Sri Vidya and studied Indic text extensively. उन्होंने किताब भी लिखी है, उनके ऊपर उनके रिव्यूज़ जो हैं पब्लिश्ड काफ़ी अखबारों में, काफ़ी मैगज़ीन्स में आ चुकी हैं। तो आज हम उनसे मुलाकात करेंगे डॉक्टर मनीषा के साथ। पहले मनीषा जी को मैं स्क्रीन पे बुलाऊंगा। मनीषा जी नमस्ते जी, वेलकम टू शो। आप डिमांड में हो। लास्ट टाइम आपने इतना फैंटास्टिक शो किया, तो मैंने चलो अभी आपको भी बुलाएंगे, शो कंटिन्यू करेंगे। हमारे जो गेस्ट स्पीकर्स हैं वो भी काफ़ी इंटरेस्टेड है। और क्या बोलते हैं, जो आज के जो खास करके टॉपिक है अनकंफर्टेबल क्वेश्चन, ये टॉपिक कहाँ से चूज किया आपने?
अपने आप से, क्योंकि मैं हमेशा अनकंफर्टेबल क्वेश्चंस पूछती हूँ और तभी मुझे आंसर्स मिलते हैं। So, and also Pavanji contributes a lot to that, because he's not many people like to be asked uncomfortable question. They like to be in their comfort zone. But Pavanji is one person who is brave enough to answer any questions which is asked to him. He doesn't even know what I'm going to ask him, and he said, yes, I'll come and speak or I'll answer. So that is वहां से आया ये uncomfortable questions का सिलसिला. And
ये
I hope
रियली लाइव शो है जिसमें कुछ भी अरेंजमेंट नहीं की हुई है, totally live. Yes, we don't know anything what's going on, and I'm curious to know. So let's welcome Pawan ji on the screen too.
Namaste.
Pawan ji. Welcome to our show.
Okay. Now, before I start asking Pavanji, or literally shooting uncomfortable questions to Pavanji, I would like to say about his book. He has truly written a magnanimous book, Living Hanuman, if everybody can see. There are not many books written like this. Even if you hold the book in the hand, you will know how much of effort has gone into writing this book and what this book contains. In this one book, there are 4 books which can be read. Now, I can go on and on about this book because I have actually read and I resonate very well with this book. But today, I am not going to talk all the good things about the book, but I'm only going to pick up and talk things which a few readers have commented or have not liked or have shown an objection, because आपके पास तो बहुत लोग हैं जो आपको बताते रहते हैं, बहुत बड़े बहुत विद्वान लोग की ये बुक कितनी अमेजिंग है. So let us talk of the parts where it needs to be clarified. So that is why we are going to have this session of uncomfortable question. I will begin from a very comfortable question which I will ask you. In short, what is spirituality according to you? आप संक्षेप में बताइए कि आपके
दोबारा से नमस्ते सब श्रोताओं को और देखने वालों को। ये बहुत प्यारा सवाल आपने पूछा है, व्हाट इज स्पिरिचुअलिटी, आध्यात्म क्या है। तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी एज द वर्ड says, it is about spirit, therefore it is known as spirituality. And the word spirit comes from the Latin word spiritus. The spiritus means breath, the breath. Now, therefore, spirituality is about breath, about all the living beings who are breathing, all breathing beings. It is all about the breath. स्पिरिचुअलिटी का मतलब ही हुआ श्वास। जितने भी प्राण, जिनमें भी प्राण का प्रवाह हो रहा है, प्राण और प्राण का विषय, यही आध्यात्म का विषय है, मूल विषय। सो स्पिरिचुअलिटी इज अबाउट लाइफ इटसेल्फ. It is about how does life manifest and how does life flow forward. So the flow of life and life itself is the core essence of spirituality.
That's very beautiful. That life itself and flow of life is spirituality, breath is spirituality. Now I will begin the uncomfortable questions. Pavanji, I would like to ask you that how come from Puran Kal to Insta Kal and WhatsApp Kal, concept of God has been very relevant, you know, and you too have chosen God to express yourself. So can you talk about this? आपको क्यों लगता है ऐसे, और आपने भी इसी को चुना क्यों?
See, the concept of God, we have, through our intellectual circus, we have classified God as a concept in many conversations, whereas God is existence itself. कोई चीज अगर है तो वह जो होना है, जिसको हम लोग अस्तित्व कहते हैं, वही ईश्वर है. The fact of existence, the fact of being, that is God. Therefore, God is not an equivalent translation of Paramatma or Param Brahma in the Vedic tradition. In the Vedic tradition, that Param Brahma or Shiva is existence itself, and therefore it is known as Sat. Sat means to be, and it is conscious. So it exists, it is conscious, and it is in bliss, Ananda. Now, Satchidananda is its expression. It is expressed as existence, consciousness, and bliss. Now, we call it God, but this God is not a great translation of this existence. But if we wish to call it by the name of God and then frame the question and say, why are we talking about that? We can say, if we replace God with the word existence, then we can say we are talking about existence. So this book, or my other conversations, or between us also, we have had several conversations. They are all about existence. And because we all exist, therefore it is totally relevant to talk about existence. अस्तित्व के बारे में चर्चा तो बिल्कुल परिवेश में है, हमारे उसका संदर्भ बनता है, जीवन ही उसका संदर्भ है, इसलिए हम लोग अस्तित्व की चर्चा करते हैं. अब उसको किसी भी नाम से बुलाएं, गॉड बोल दें, ईश्वर कह दें, कोई और नाम से कह दें, तो वो अलग अलग लोगों के अलग अलग विचारों में जिस तरह से भी उन्होंने चाहा हो वैसे उसको बुला लिया. लेकिन चर्चा अस्तित्व की है, समझना अस्तित्व को है, अतः यह जरूरी है कि हम अस्तित्व की चर्चा करें.
Okay, so I would call you a Hanuman enthusiast, but there are people who've read your book have also felt you are a Hanuman fanatic. आपने बहुत बार किताब में लिखा है, only if you pray to Hanuman, your problems will be solved. Only if you, that only word does come a lot of times. तो क्या अगर हम शिव को प्रे करें या हम माँ की पूजा करें या हम गणेश की आराधना करें तो क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होगी, उससे नहीं होगी? ये ऐसा लोग पूछते हैं, लोगों ने पूछा है कि सिर्फ हनुमान के ही की प्रार्थना से क्या प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व होगी, या संकट जाएंगे, या आप सुधरेंगे, या जो आप स्पिरिचुअलिटी में गेन करना चाहते हैं वो आपको मिलेगा? सो कैन यू एक्सप्लेन दिस एंड यू कैन explain it well?
This is a very uncomfortable question, and you are also asking this. Rightly so. This sounds so uncomfortable, so irrational. How is it that only worshipping Hanuman will your problems get solved, or only you should go through Hanuman, etc.? First of all, this is not my statement. This is not my statement. This is what Goswami Tulsidas ji has written in Hanuman Chalisa. और देवता चित्त न धरहीं, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहीं. Or devta, hold no other forms of divinity in your chitta, in your conscious mind. By doing so, and by only focusing your conscious mind on Hanuman, you will be able to achieve whatever you wish to achieve, all comforts or joys of life. Tulsidas ji has written. But from the level of consciousness of Tulsidas, when this statement comes, we need to look at it very carefully. Was he a Hanuman fanatic? I will say he was not a Hanuman fanatic. At most, one can say he was Hanuman's fan, a devotee. Devotee and fan, both means almost the same. We are a fan of a human being, and a divine equivalent of that is a devotee. The meaning of the word Hanuman has to be understood first before addressing this question. And in the book, right in the beginning, and those people who have read this book from the beginning will not make this question because it is answered right in the beginning, that Hanuman simply means the breath. प्राण को हनुमान समझ लें. प्राण, प्राण की चेतना, चेतन प्राण, प्राण चेतन नहीं है. प्राण हनुमान है. Prana is Hanuman. In India, especially in South India, a synonym of Hanuman, another name for Hanuman is Mahaprana. हनुमान को दक्षिण भारत में महाप्राण से भी बुलाते हैं. तो आप ऐसा सोचें कि हनुमान शब्द हटा दें और प्राण, उसको प्राण से रखते हैं. फिर कहें, क्या कोई भी समस्या प्राण पे फोकस किए बगैर संभव है? अगर प्राण पे फोकस नहीं करेंगे, अगर प्राण की अवधारणा नहीं करेंगे, अगर अनुप्राणित नहीं होंगे, अगर ताकत ही नहीं होगी, जान ही नहीं होगा, किसी समस्या को जूझने के लिए ताकत, जिंदा ही नहीं रहेंगे, तो समस्या कहां से सॉल्व होगी? तो सबसे पहली बात है प्राण. लेकिन प्राण के भी कई स्तर हैं, चेतनाओं के स्तर के हिसाब से. तो इस हिसाब से कह दिया कि प्राण की साधना से, प्राण की अवधारणा से, वो एक गहन विषय है. सारी समस्याएं सॉल्व हो जाएंगी और सारे सुखों की प्राप्ति. जिसके शरीर में प्राण नहीं है वो कौन सा सुख भोग सकता है? कोई हमको बताए, कोई और रास्ता बता दे. प्राणित, अनुप्राणित होने के बगैर अगर सुखों को भोगा जा सके तो ऐसा नहीं संभव है. दूसरा विषय यह है कि हमने उस पुस्तक में बहुत साफ साफ समझाया है. It is very clearly explained and established, giving references from the ancient texts, how Hanuman and Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Hanuman and Shiva, Hanuman and Shakti, Hanuman and Ganapati, Hanuman and the Pancha Mahadevta, Hanuman and Surya, Hanuman and Agni, Hanuman and Kartikeya, all the forms, different forms of gods and goddesses in the Hindu Vedic tradition, as well as the forms of gods and goddesses worshipped in the world traditions, are all represented within the understanding of the concept or the idea of Hanuman. So therefore, Hanuman can be used as a single word, as a synonym for any other name of divinity. When you talk of being a fan, you can see those people who study quantum physics, quantum mechanics, every sentence will be converging into a single formula, will emerge and converge into a singular cryptic statement: E is equal to mc square. E equals mc square. All the knowledge of quantum mechanics converge into this, prove this, and also emerge from this. That doesn't make a quantum physicist a fanatic of this formula. Similarly, this is such a beautiful formula of divinity. Hanumanji, he embodies such a beautiful, accessible understanding of divinity, humanly accessible understanding of divinity, a simple, simplified, simplistic understanding of divinity that one becomes a fan of this form of divinity. And through that, all other forms of divinity, all other portals of understanding of spirituality, spiritual beings, and spiritual realms open up.
Okay. So I asked you, I think, a bit too uncomfortable a question. So let me go to a little less, I think, let me go to a very comfortable question. Now, something I really admired in your book, where you have debunked the myth which is there associated with Hanuman, that only women can, or only men can worship Hanuman. So there is this whole thing about masculinity where is associated only men praying with to this masculine god, which itself does not sound very good, even especially now in the time of gender equality, or even then when as we were kids. Now Hanuman was one god who burned the Lanka down for the dignity of a woman, but still there has been this division where people stopped worshipping women from worshipping Hanuman, and you have subtly made fun of such people in the book. Now I want you to give this explanation so that the viewers who think that Hanuman is not to be worshipped by women, if they think, or they can educate this aspect to others. So can you speak about this a little?
Beautiful question.
पवन जी,
Fanatic.
आवाज थोड़ी आपकी धीरे हो रही है, तो आप माइक के पास आ जाएं.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
So this is a beautiful question. Fanatic to fan to fun. I have not made fun of people. The earliest sage who made fun of such people, who divided women and men on the basis of gender, was an old sage, Rishi Dirghattama. He is considered to be an ancient sage, even in the ancient texts, ancient writings in Rig Veda. So he's a very ancient, old sage, old blind sage. And he says, those who see a distinction between men and women who are, of course, when he is, what he's referring to is women who are self-realized, who are knowers of the truth. Those who see difference between such a woman and men who are also knowers of the truth, but those who see a difference between these two knowers of truth are blind, he says that, and are themselves a woman, even if they have a beard like me. He is talking about himself. तो ऋषि दीर्घोत्तमा ने यह बात कही कि स्त्री और पुरुष, और उनकी बात से अगर हम लोग आगे बढ़ें तो हम ये कह सकते हैं कि ये शरीर का भेद है, शरीर के स्तर पर यह भेद है, लेकिन आध्यात्म के स्तर पर कोई लिंग भेद संभव नहीं है, न है न होगा। और अगर तब भी इस बात को आगे घसीटा जाए तो उल्टा सिद्ध होता है, जो कि हमने पुस्तक में सिद्ध भी किया। आई हैव ट्राइड टू एस्टैब्लिश इट दैट हनुमान इज हिमसेल्फ an embodiment of the divine feminine. कंचन बरन विराज स्वेसा, कंचन बरन, गोल्डन ग्लो उनके अंदर से एक पीली आभा से निकलती है, कंचन बरन। वह जो गोल्डन ग्लो है, वो जो कंचन बरन अंदर से निकल के आ रहा है, वो गोल्डन ग्लो किसका है? कौन है वो गोल्डन ग्लो वाली? ऋग्वेद श्री सूक्त में कहता है, हिरण्य वर्णाम हरिणिम, वह जो स्वर्ण के रंग वाली हरिणिम, वह जो स्वर्ण की रंग वाली देवी, वह that golden, that divine one, that divine feminine who has the golden glow, whose name is Shri, and the whole Shri Sukta is dedicated to her. That Mahalakshmi, that Shri is permeating every cell of Hanumanji. Hanumanji is Shiva himself, and Adi Shankaracharya has established in his great work on Saundarya Lahari, the first verse itself says that with Shakti, Shiva creates universes after universes, but without her, he can't even move his finger. Shiva cannot even move his finger. So if Hanuman is Shiva and he's jumping around Lanka in India and in Rameshwaram and Kailash, sure he is doing it because Shakti is present in him. Similarly, in South India, his tail is worshipped. हनुमान जी की पूंछ की पूजा होती है 43 दिन, रोज एक एक बिंदी लगाती हैं उसके ऊपर में औरतें जाकर के, तो औरतें ही पूजा करती। तो हनुमान जी स्वयं शक्ति के ही प्रादुर्भूत हैं, वो उसी के शरीर शक्ति हैं स्वयं। और भगवती सीता का यह वरदान है, आनंद रामायण वगैरह में इसका वर्णन आता है कि जहां कहीं भी तुम होगे, मैं अपनी पूरी शक्तियों के साथ वहां पर विराजमान रहूंगी, भगवती सीता ने कहा है। तो भगवान हनुमान शक्ति से अभिन्न कैसे हो सकते हैं? वो भक्ति के स्वरूप है। हनुमान जी इज एन एम्बॉडीमेंट ऑफ डिवोशन. डिवोशन इज लव. बाय क्वालिटी, लव इज फेमिनिन. How can he be separate from that? Rather, I have gone a step further and established that only through devotion Hanumanji can be appeased and reached. And that devotion itself is feminine. So even men have to display their feminine nature of love and devotion and surrender to be able to receive Hanumanji's grace and kripa. पुरुषों को भी अपना स्त्रीत्व व्यक्त करना पड़ेगा जी।
वेरी ब्यूटीफुल। आपने किताब में भी ये सब बातें लिखी हैं जो आपने अभी समझाया, बट आई वांटेड व्यूअर्स टू लिसन बिकॉज मोस्ट ऑफ देम हैव नॉट read the book. Now, another question which I want to ask you is, you have written a very, very interesting section and you have innovated this phrase, I won't say phrase, a word I value, where you have said that there is a need for value infusion in our education system. So do you think that value infusion has not happened or it's not happening? And you have mentioned there about I self, educating, children and students about I self, you self, they self, earth self. So what do you mean by this? And also you have mentioned something very interesting where you've quoted from a study called transpersonal leadership. So if you can explain these concepts, it will be very good.
Fantastic. This is a comfortable question, but another way it addresses a very uncomfortable question that the society faces today. The society today is almost at a tipping point of disintegration. Society. We are at a family level. we are basically angry people or people who are wanting things for themselves. We value our time, we protect ourselves. We're talking about my emotions, and I'm working on healing myself, and I have to take care of myself. Maximum we say, I take care of my children and my family, but beyond the my, we don't care. So in that whole process, we have become takers, and takers at any cost. The same thing expands at the level of society, at the level of country, and at the level of the world. And today, look at the war in Ukraine and Russia. A whole nation is being devastated by another nation, is being devastated, whatever be the reason. People are fleeing, lives are being destroyed, factories are being destroyed, a whole land will get desolate because Russia wants whatever it wants. And Ukraine also is getting devastated because it wants whatever it wants. And the whole world is just looking at it. The whole world is only watching it. And not only watching it, it has been taken as an opportunity, and there is fire being ignited in the east now. There is a tension coming up. It's open news. I'm not saying anything new. China and Taiwan is coming up there. USA coming up there with a gun. What is this? What kind of a world are we creating or living? Or what kind of what is it a product of? Fundamentally, it is a product of a state of not valuing the other person or the other nation or the other culture or the other belief. हमें दूसरे की कोई परवाह नहीं है. हम नोच लें, खींच लें, खसोट लें, सोख लें, पी लें, लूट लें, जैसी भी शब्द यूज कर लें आप. तो यह जो एक हम लोग बहुत ही अनकंफर्टेबल सिचुएशन में आ गए हैं, और जिसके लिए हमारे बच्चे हमसे सवाल पूछ रहे हैं कि क्या आप ये हमें छोड़ के जाओगे, ऐसी धरती हमें दे के जाओगे, हमारे लिए क्या है? उनका सवाल हमको, उनका जवाब हम क्या दें? तो उनका जवाब हमें एक ही शब्द में मिला. अंग्रेजी का शब्द है, वो एक ही शब्द बन गया ईश्वर की कृपा से. IVALYOU, आई वैल्यू. आई और यू को जोड़ दिया. आजकल आई और यू को जोड़ा वैल्यू के संदर्भ में. IVALYOU, आई वैल्यू यू. यह भाव, यह मंत्र कि मैं आपका कदर करता हूं. इनफैक्ट हिंदी में हमने सोचा कि इसका हिंदी में क्या शब्द होगा, तो हिंदी में शब्द होगा इसका जो तुम सो हम. सब लोग जानते हैं सोहम शब्द बहुत बड़ा शब्द है, वेदों से आया हुआ है, उपनिषद का शब्द है. सोहम, मैं वही हूं. सोहम बन गया. बट मैं सोहम तो बहुत बड़ी बात हो गई, उसके आगे जोड़ दो जो तुम सोहम. जो तुम सोहम एक ही शब्द हो गया. जो तुम वही मैं हूं. तो मैं तुम्हारे साथ कैसा बर्ताव करूं? जैसा मैं चाहता हूं कि तुम मेरे साथ करो. आई वैल्यू का सबसे साधारण जो एक संदेश है वो सिर्फ इतना है कि हम रोज के दिनचर्या में, रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में हम ऐसा व्यवहार करें जैसा हम चाहते हैं कि दूसरा व्यक्ति हमारे साथ व्यवहार करे. डू unto others as you want others to do unto you. ईसा मसीह कह गए 2000 साल पहले, हर स्कूल में पढ़ाया जाता है, हर ने सुना है. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. लेकिन करते नहीं है. We do unto others what we want to do to others. So I value एक तरह से समझें तो सबसे ऊंची सेवा अगर है, इसलिए हनुमान जी की पूरी पुस्तक, पूरी की पूरी टीका हनुमान चालीसा की जो पॉइंट कर रही है वो इस पे कर रही है कि हम एक दूसरे को, हम यह समझ लें कि जो सामने वाला है वही मैं हूं. बाद में समझेंगे सोहम. पहले तत्वमसि, हम ब्रह्मस्मि, मैं ब्रह्म हूं. तत्वमसि, वही तुम हो, वही मैं हूं. पहले तो ये समझेंगे जो तुम सोहम, और फिर जो तुम को हटा भी देंगे और सोहम उसको समझेंगे. हम बिल्कुल हनुमानमय हो जाएंगे, राममय हो जाएंगे. विल अंडरस्टैंड द परवेसिव existence of reality, and the question, who is God, with which you started actually, why are we bringing God in here? That question itself will disappear. It will not need an answer, because we will realize our God nature, will realize our spiritual nature, will realize we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and not human beings having a spiritual experience, and rest of the time we are out there to kill each other, competition, this, that, and all of that. and uh, and growth at any cost is considered to be the parameter of success. These are outdated ideas of living and civilization. We need to create a new world based on just one molecule at the center. The central molecule should be I value. This is my prayer to everyone and to God.
Very, very beautifully explained, Pavanji. Now, I want to also ask you, you've also been a part of corporate world at some point of time. And today we see, especially past 10 years, spirituality has started seeping in, people are urging work, spirituality and workplace. There are so many sessions, in this cutthroat transactional corporate world. And even in your book, I mean, I find so many sessions can be taken out of Living Hanuman and turned into corporate training sessions. Do you think it's a fad, or do you think it's a fact that they have realized and it's here to stay and it is needed there?
This question has a comfortable and an uncomfortable answer both. The first part is comfortable answer. Comfortable answer is yes, it is a fact based on a lot of research happening on positive psychology. They call it positive psychology. I first of all, I think it is what a misnomer it is. What do you mean by
Yes.
positive psychology? Psychology is psychology. It cannot be negative or positive. But all the same, that is the word they have used for it. But basically, positive psychology is understanding how to create happy human beings, basically. But the uncomfortable side of it is that the goal of all of this, the background intention is happy cows give more milk. इट इज नॉट, इसलिए गो सेवा नहीं कर रहे हैं कि गाय हमारी माता है या कुछ है ना, इसलिए गाय की सेवा कर रहे हैं, खूब सेवा करेंगे तो खूब दूध निकलेगा। वो सेवा क्या हुआ? So to make employees happy, because they have already concluded happy cows give more milk, therefore happy employees will give more productivity, therefore make them happy. So now, therefore, this has become a part of HR drill. And yes, it has also become a fad because organizations want to look good. So they want to say they are doing some work for wellness of human beings or their employees. They are taking care of their wellness aspect. They want to look humane. And therefore, they employ trainers, and those trainers also come and deliver things. And in their deliverables, the whole thing is that when a training program is being done or a program is run, one of the deliverables is efficiency at work, higher productivity, lower attrition. It has to benefit the organization. So that is the uncomfortable side of it. But the good side of it is, even for that sake, at least there is some talk. In the times when I began in year 2000, people would not even listen to a wellness program. Very few organizations, and that also overseas. That also I did some programs in Dubai, some in Europe, and that also would be titled stress management or something like that. That was how we were apologetically entering into the corporate. But now openly we talk of mindfulness. It's a big movement, mindfulness in the
Yes.
organizations, and also wellness. There are some very serious organizations also which are very employee focused. One of the organizations I know of is Dell, for example, is a very human focused organization, and they have very serious programs on that. But mostly, or however it is end of the day, organizations are made up of human beings like you and me. So if we follow spirituality for a fad or a fact, we sometimes do it for a fact because we are drawn towards it, but most of the time we are only following it because it looks good, feels nice. So exactly the same way in the organization, you and me are sitting there making decisions. So they sometimes follow it for a fact, sometimes follow follow it for a fad, but they're
Okay.
falling, they're getting in that direction. And the great hope is that Bhagavan in Bhagavad Gita says, people come to me for various reasons. Some come for me seeking solutions to their problems. Some come seeking me because they love me. Some come seeking me because they want to experience me, etc. And they use different methods to come to me and different forms. But in whichever way you come to me, you will arrive unto me alone. And to whichever form you pray to, it is me alone who is the giver of the fruits of those prayers and those spiritual efforts that you make. So I am the singular entity, singular existence who is giving that. So similarly, whatever path they follow, whichever way they think, even if they think it is for benefit of their organization, at least they are coming towards it. That's a big hope. And it is only the corporates who are going who are going to support this movement of I value or any such well-meaning, well-intentioned expedition or endeavor uh, to bring it down to society. Yeah.
Yes, I have seen a few of very good corporate programs based on Gita, Mahabharata characters. So, yes, even if they're doing it for efficiency, people personally can take it on further from them. So, at least they're exposed to. Okay, now let me ask you a slightly uncomfortable question. Uh, now, what is the connection between astrology and God? You are a well-known astrologer, you are an internationally acclaimed astrologer. Now I have met people, many people who have faith in God, immense faith in God. They are spiritual, they seem enlightened to me, but still they don't believe in astrology. But every astrologer believes in God, so what is this connection? And if you found, did you find it very uncomfortable? I thought this was
Absolutely.
okay, because आप astrologer के पास जाएं भी, and I did research, I spoke to many astrologers to see, not a single astrologer told me I don't believe in God or goddess. But many spiritual people, highly intensely spiritual people told me they don't believe in astrology. तो ये God और astrology का क्या कनेक्शन है, क्योंकि एस्ट्रोलॉजर भी भगवान का ही नाम जापने को कहता है. So just an explanation would be very interesting on the lighter side.
See, not on a lighter side. This is a very serious question. And actually, a full 1 hour or 2 hours can go explaining, because we need to understand God, then we need to understand astrology, and then we need to understand the relationship between them. So, first, an uncomfortable answer: astrology and God. Whatever one can't explain, uh, whoever uses astrology to blame destiny or something beyond his control, and then say, what can I do? God did this for me, so then go and pray to God and get it fixed. So there is a certain fatalistic relationship, fatalist relationship between astrology and God. That is a working relationship. Astrologers recommend people different forms of God to go and worship, so that they can find some relief. Of course, it is not always without reason. There's some positive outcomes do come out of it, but this is a minor answer, an uncomfortable answer to an uncomfortable question. A deep dive into understanding of God and astrology. So, on one side, we have already understood God as existence. We can understand God like this: G, G for generator, O operator, D destroyer. Generator, operator, destroyer. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralay. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. This three aspect of existence in which creation happens, creation is sustained and creation is destroyed. At a larger level, we hear about Pralaya, etc., the birth of the universe. Then the universe is in operation right now. At the end of it, the universe dissolves. At a micro level, at a smaller level, human beings are born, they live their lives, they die. So these three aspects again work there. And at a micro level, at the level of the cell, every moment, hundreds and thousands of cells in our body. We are composed of almost 70 trillion cells, or how many trillions and trillions of cells. So we are composed of 70 trillion cells, and each one of those cells have a very short life, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 1 month. They change, they die. So at a cellular level, all the time, there is birth and creation and sustenance and death happening. So there is a process of life that is happening. So there is an existence, and in the backdrop of existence, a process of life keeps going on. This whole thing together can be referred to as God. Param Brahma and Ishvara. And then beyond the Ishvara, the whole Srishti. So Param Brahma, pure consciousness, that pure consciousness first expresses itself as Aham and Idam, Prakash and Vimarsha, the light of consciousness and its expression. What is that? The I consciousness, I am, and not me, this. I and this consciousness, this understanding, this cognition of I and this is embedded in the existence itself, I and this. But it comes at a certain level when that existence begins to express itself as creation in the creation process. Without getting too complicated and confused, अस्तित्व और ये सृष्टि, स्थिति और लय, इस सब को अगर एक साथ जोड़ दें तो इसे ईश्वर, गॉड, परम ब्रह्म आदि कह सकते हैं, एक तरह से कह सकते हैं. What is astrology? So a very simple understanding of astrology is understanding, study of the movement of the planets in the backdrop of the constellations, with reference to the movement of the earth and the moon, in relationship to the sun. This expanse of dynamic movement which is happening, within that a human life is flowering, it is lived. And astrology is used, the knowledge of astrology through the interpretation of these movements in the sky is used to guide, to understand and guide a human being through his journey of life. Now imagine, one cannot find a direct correlationship between a human being walking on earth, who is like a grain of sand, and the entire cosmos. People who have understood, who have studied geography in school, they know how many millions miles apart these planets are existing, and millions of light years away constellations exist. What has all of this got to do with human life in the first place? But then when we link it to the existence of God, then we understand it all. Because then we can say astrology is a science to peep into the mind of God. You can say that. Like through a keyhole, as a child, if the room was closed, if some people remember peeping through the keyhole and seeing what is going on inside, something secret. Astrology is an attempt to look through the keyhole into the mind of God. I'm actually paraphrasing what the great mathematician Ramanujam has said. Any mathematical equation is an expression of a thought wave of God. If it does not express a thought of God, it is not an equation and it is not important for me. So when we look at human beings as an expression, as a bubble or a wave in God consciousness, in that unitary consciousness, in that non-dual Advaita consciousness, each human being as a ripple in that, then we understand that the whole of creation is represented in individual human beings also. Therefore, the great statement, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pinde. That which is in the cosmos is in this pinda, is in this mud ball, is in this ball of mud, whatever is in there in the cosmos. And whatever is there in this mud ball is there in the cosmos. So a relationship is established. So then, if we quickly want to answer that question, what is the relationship between God and astrology? So astrology is a science to peep into the mind of God. Why do we want to peep into the mind of God? Because as human beings, we have lost our divine memory. As human beings, we do not understand time as one whole, but we experience time as divided between past, present, and future. We experience that. And we have limited memory. So we do not know why are we going through, what are we going through. So we are going through suffering. We don't know why are we suffering. We are a good man. People say he is a very good man. I don't know why has he has all kinds of diseases. His wife left him. His children died. Whatever happened. Why is God punishing him? And look at that rascal. He is the most idiotic person on the block, but he makes the maximum money and drives the biggest car around. Because our memories of previous work, actions and deeds have been lost. Our memories of our own intentions of what we wanted to do of this lifetime has been lost. But then we are curious. We want to know. We want to be guided. So through what will we peep into the mind of God? Through what will we access and understand the intention of our own godlike mind, not anyone else's? That godlike mind of which I am at this moment an expression of. I want to know something about it. So astrology is like a dentist. If you have gone to a dentist has a mirror like this at the end of a pen, puts it in the mouth and sees the other side of the teeth. So similarly, astrology helps us to see the other side of our own godlike mind, putting that stick inside it. That's the relationship between astrology and God, to my best understanding.
Okay. Now I'll ask you a fun question. If you see people who've read or who have not even read his book, there's a very interesting section there where it's Pathfinder. So there are 43 triangles, sacred triangles, and you can put your hand on one of them. And then when you go through, there are instruction guidance written. Now, in my experience, so many people have given me feedback who have read. I have seen this with people, 99% get their answers. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but 99% get their answer. So, Pavanji, in short, if you can tell me, what is this number game with God that you play?
As I said, Ramanujam has said that every number, every equation is a thought wave arising in the mind of God. Mathematics is the closest that you can understand the mind of God. If you can understand the mind of God, closest in the sense of science, mathematics. Now, these numbers, though they look like only numbers, but they have a correlationship between themselves. They have a relationship, even if they are not next to one another. So a number, for example, number 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 have a correlationship, even if they are apart. And sometimes number 18 and 19 are not related, they are neighbors. But one is an even number, one is an odd number, they don't look at each other. One is divisible, one is not divisible. So numbers have a personality and a character of their own. And in the mystic science, they have their own they express a mystic wave of energy. You can understand that. In this current book, what we have done, as I have explained earlier, Hanumanji is an embodiment of the goddess. And goddess is geometrically represented as the Sri Chakra. There are 43 interlacing triangles formed by 5 triangles crossing each other. Most people are aware of the Sri Yantra, Sri Chakra. They can see that. So there are 43 triangles in that. And the Chalisa has 43 verses. And they have put in a certain sequence in those triangles. So the geometry and mathematics come together. Geometry and mathematics come together. Between geometry and mathematics, there is a great chemistry. This is paraphrasing a very great sage of our times who has made his own island a new country. But it makes
Oh, yeah.
sense.
We speak often about him, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
when mathematics comes to geometry, a great chemistry is born and a great insight gets out of that. And here, on those behind those triangles and the numbers, very special, not very special, that particular doha has been interpreted for the person in the sense of a guidance for the future. That interpretation was purely an intuitive flow coming through me. I cannot say why it has been interpreted, though I have reasons for each doha why that particular interpretation for the future has been given, but it works all the time. So basically, then it proves that every number and equation and geometry is a ripple in the mind of God. So that proves it that way.
Okay, lovely. Now, 2 more uncomfortable questions. Now, one question that I want to ask you is about rituals. Now, what I read and spirituality is about inner blossoming. So, what is the relation to our inner blossoming and rituals? For example, if you do not keep a prasad in front of God, एक रामदाना, एक ही केला रखना ही है, यदि नहीं रखा तो क्या just with my devotion God will not be pleased or cannot be seeked? You know, so a non-ritualistic person will never seek herself or himself or the divine in himself or herself.
This is a great question. See, it's like this. In our rich tradition, all levels of mind, all levels of seekers have been addressed. So, in the practice also, so in the practice and approach and communion with the Divine One, with God. Now, at the highest level, all practices are internal. There are absolutely no rituals in the Samayachar. It is known as Samayachar. In that tradition, there is no need for any ritual. You just sit, and by self-inquiry, you go into yourself and do what you have to do with it. Resolve your experiences, resolve your memories, observe your mind, sort yourself out, and keep going deeper, keep enabling. The goal is to enable your mind to blossom into a beautiful flower. The mind should become a fragrant place, and your actions and your deeds should become fruit-like. They should be nourishing, enabling, nurturing towards other people. That's the goal of any spiritual practice, to have a flower-like mind, suman, and to have fruit-like deeds, sufal. सुगंधिम पुष्टिवर्धनम कहा जाता है, मन खुशबू से भरा हुआ, ऐसा. तो यही ध्येय है, ध्येय वस्तु यही है कि हमारा मन शांत हो जाए और हमारे जो कर्म है वो दूसरों के काम आ जाए, दूसरों के जीवन को सुंदर बना दे और अपने जीवन को भी सुंदर बनाए, दूसरों में खुद भी इंक्लूडेड है, ऐसा. अब इस गोल को प्राप्त करने के लिए जो हम लोग रास्ता चुनते हैं, तो जो लोग ज्ञान का रास्ता चुनते हैं, those who follow the path of knowledge, all their rituals or all their practices are mental. They keep quiet and they approach divinity at that level. But everyone doesn't have that level of maturity. I will say, spiritual or emotional maturity, you can try doing it yourself. So what happens? Some simple rituals have been created so that our mind is engaged. Our mind works with sound, movement, looking at something visually. So you put a picture of your form of divinity. It could be a piece of rock, it could be a form of divinity, or a person or a personality whom you rever. So when you look at it, love and reverence. Like you put a picture of your daughter on your side. You look at her, love flows in your heart. Sometimes you pick up the picture and even kiss it. Sometimes you do that. Of your own children. If they are not living with you, you miss them. You kiss your own children in a picture. So what kind of a ritual is that? You or me or anyone, we are all intelligent people. Why do we need to do that? But that's how our mind is. So we put a picture, and then each one of the ingredients of ritual has a language. So for example, when you're putting the fruits, we are actually offering the fruits of our karma. The karma that we are going to perform today, there will be some fruits out of that. Some results will accrue out of the actions, out of my actions. Right in the beginning, we put the fruit at the feet of God. That it is all for you that I'm doing. So that may the retribution of that karma, the stain of that karma, not further burden my karmic load, not further tighten up my karmic body. May I be released from the karma of my current karma, of what I'm going to do. That is the fruit. Similarly, all the other things like fire, like incense, that water, etc., they all represent the five. They all represent the five element. And in fact, the word Bhagavan is actually Bhagavana. It is all the first letter of the five elements. To put them together, it becomes Bhagavan. So whatever we do, at end of the day, it will be one of the five elements that we will be using. The fire element, the water element, the earth element, the sky element, flower. So what we do is, in a very symbolic manner, we are energizing our deep divine self, the deep divine mind, energizing that may we use these elements of life judiciously, rightly, so that it contributes towards a Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam state of living. We put a tilak on our forehead. Trembakam yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam. We ourselves activate our third eye and become Trembakam. It is not a three-eyed Shiva that we have to do Arti and Agarbatti to. We need to live life like the third, through the third eye, because through two eyes, if I meet you in the street with my two eyes, I see you as a different person. I see you as Manisha Bose. I see you as someone. With my third eye, I see you myself. I see you as a mirror of myself. I will do to you as I would wish myself you to do to me. So that third eye, looking at the world, at our life, at our day-to-day work with third eye, a tilak is put. So all these rituals are basically worshipping through the whole body. So what happens at the lowest level, people don't understand all of this, but they just do the ritual without understanding. But at least some form of love and some form of devotion happens. This is my Bhagwan, I'm offering something, na? I'm doing this and that and all of that. So that is called Kaulachar, pure rituals. And then there is a middle, Mishra. My name is Pawan Mishra. Mishra is that tradition which mixes these two. So while you are doing rituals, you are internally dialoguing or internally flowing with the energy of those rituals, doing both the things together, externally as well as internally. And therefore, we call that realizational worship. Realizational worship. So ritual is a very good, very useful, very harmless tool to follow. It challenges our intellectual mind, and we question ourselves, why should we do it? And look at it. Even great people, like let's say the Buddhist tradition, the Buddha, he took people away from rituals. So there is the Theravada tradition, in which there is not much rituals, but still there is rituals. But then in the Mahayana Buddhism, that is His Holiness Dalai Lama and all the other, there are so many rituals. For what? They don't even believe in God. For what are they doing those rituals? So this shows that. And then we look at great sages like Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. He was an Advait Vedanti. Towards the end, he initiated all the pujas at all the four dhams. Look at Ramana Maharshi, much closer home, much closer in time. Only less than 100 years ago, Ramana Maharshi, all through his life, his only thing was ask yourself, who am I? Who am I? End of the day, he drew the Sri Chakra, gifted it to his such a lovely woman devotee, and then he actually consecrated a Sri Chakra in Ramana Ashram in his own presence, and he instructed this should be this worship so and so times and all of that. So sometimes when we don't totally understand something, we should follow someone whom we have full trust in. So suppose I believe fully in Ramana Maharshi, knowing fully well that his stature, I am only his dust of his feet. I will just follow him, and he does rituals. I'll just do that. If I don't understand the finesses of that, Sai Baba of Puttaparthi, he did rituals. He is God. He does rituals. I'll also do that. Because sometimes what happens when we continue doing something, we awake into it. It reveals to us what is the importance and meaning of it. Only dialoguing does not sometimes exactly reveal it to us. But for example, cutting a cake on a birthday is a ritual. Why do we do it? Everybody does it. Even a poor man does it. A rich man also does it. All the time cutting a cake, blowing out a candle. What kind of a ritual is that? But they do it. There is a ritual. They will do it. People get married, put a ring. It's a ritual. It's a ritual.
Yeah. So what I could understand is, yes, you very beautifully explained about rituals, but at the same time, you said rituals will not come in the way. I mean, you don't have to do rituals to attain your divine, right? Cake na bhi kate to bhi birthday hoga. So if you meet your self even without rituals, it's fine. Now I'm coming to the last and the most uncomfortable question. Now, your book has note of appreciation. I have not seen in recent times such note of appreciation in any book, especially a spiritual book. You have Padma Shri writing a note of appreciation. You have a UNESCO chair, peace studies, writing a book of appreciation in Living Hanuman. You have a professor, a diplomat writing a note of appreciation from CEO. You also have a Swamiji who is writing from the World Awareness Forum, who has also written a long note of appreciation. So a lot of people who've even read your book, they have appreciated it immensely, and you know how much I am in love with this book. Yet there are also people who have got offended by your book, and which is being very controversial, where with a chapter called Unifying Streams, where you have brought in all the religions together, and people, their offense was, what they felt offended was, we bought a book seeing the Hanuman photo. We don't want to go and see and understand about other religion as being one. Second bone of contention which they have with this chapter is that we are not the ones who have any otherness with others. We are the ones who others think as others. Did you understand what I said? Okay. So they are the ones whom the author should go and teach and not teach us. This is what has been the feedback. And we've discussed this many times, right? And we've also thought that we'll take it up as a totally different case or chapter. What is what do you want to say to those people? Because I'm going to forward these to them, who I don't know are here or not. What would you want to say to them for their objection? They felt even hurt, they have felt offended.
Yes, you are right. They have felt offended, and that is exactly the problem we are wanting to address.
Yes.
The point is, we say that Param Brahma, our God, our Hindu God, Param Brahma, Shiva, is supreme. And and all the names, there are hymns which says all the words that are spoken are his name. There are hymns in Durga Saptashati saying, whatever I speak is your name, it is you yourself. So then, if the word, any word, a word from Islamic tradition or from the Christian tradition, any word for God that they use, how can that be not included within the name, as a name of Shiva himself? How is it possible? Our Brahman is non-exclusive. There is nothing other than Brahman. It is not. It is non-exclusive. Other religions are exclusive religions. We have to first understand this very carefully. Other religions are small religions. They're exclusive. They exclude everybody else, and then they have a mandate. Now turn everybody into this religion because this is the only truth. If they don't agree, chop their heads if necessary. Whether it is A religion or B religion, A religion is doing today, B religion was doing it yesterday, but in the name of religion, heads have rolled over. Unfortunately, heads have rolled over even in the name of religion within our own religion. Between Shiva and Vishnu, who will take the Naga sadhus take the first dip in the Kumbh? So there are Shaivite Naga sadhu who believe in Shiva. There are Vaishnavite Naga sadhu who believe in Vishnu. भगवान शिव को मानने वाले नागा साधु हैं, विष्णु को मानने वाले नागा साधु हैं. कौन पहले डुबकी लगाएगा गंगा में, कुंभ में? इस बात पे लड़ाई हो गई. ज्यादा वक्त नहीं हुआ, 100 साल हुआ है, और काट दिया एक दूसरे को. शिव और विष्णु के नाम पे काट दिया. और वहीं हमारा धर्म कहता है कि जो शिव और विष्णु में भेद समझता है वो महापापी है. हमने कोट किया इसको. One who understands Shiva and Vishnu to be different are sinners. Our own text say it. So my goal was to make people understand that let us not make difference in languages as being difference in religions. Language is not a religion. There is nothing new which is being said in those so-called religions. There is nothing new in that. Astha, dharma, is a bad translation of religion, and that is why all this confusion. It's all because of language. Dharma is only dharma. Dharma means a way of life, a nature. Dharma means nature. For example, the dharma of earth is gravity, nature. It is not a religion of earth. A good translation of religion in Hindi would be Astha. Yes, Astha could be different. I believe in Allah, I believe in Hanuman, I believe in Vaishno Devi, I believe in Isa Masih, I believe in combination. There are people, I know very closely, people who believe in the Muslim tradition, at the same time they keep Ganesha at their home. They believe in Christian tradition, they still keep Hanuman with them. Barack Obama, for example, he keeps Hanumanji's, President Barack Obama, ex-president of USA, always carries a murti of Hanumanji in his pocket. So there are mixture. It is all about astha, vishwas. It is all about faith. Now, on faith, we have nothing to say. Nothing at all. Everybody can believe in a form of divinity that makes them most comfortable, in which they are born, which they discover, they like it. It is just about how they tune in to that divinity. One can play any different instrument. Ultimately, the music, the raga is going to be the same. Different instruments. My point is, there is only one raga, and that raga is Param Brahma. Brahma only means the expansive one. Brahma literally means that which is expansive. infinitely expansive, therefore infinitely inclusive. Therefore, let us use that word Brahma. Brahma comes from our tradition. How can Brahma be exclusive? Can somebody answer that to me? How can we exclude a particular religion or a community out of that? We can't. We can't. They can. That's their advantage. Because for them, their religion is complete with their little understanding. For us, because of our larger understanding, we cannot exclude, because excluding will be adharma. Then what do we do? So people who have found objection, whose sentiments have been hurt by seeing that in a book of Hanuman, other religions have been addressed, they should understand I have attempted, humbly attempted, to, to study the commonalities between different religions, not the differences, the commonalities, and how they all confluence. उन सब का प्रयाग होता है वैदिक धर्म में. They are all confluenced in the Vedic tradition. There is one place where all these streams come together and merge. It is only
Yes.
the Vedic format or paradigm of thinking that can be so inclusive, so non-exclusive. Only the Vedic paradigm of thinking. That is what. So, but they have not read the book. They have just seen the pictures and they are jumping. To them, I will say, please read the book. Let us talk of confluence. Yes, I know there is a big concern that there is one community or one religion which is really getting into arms and tearing apart and things like that. So then there is a reaction from another community and they also need to protect. This is another matter for which I have already suggested. Follow the law of the land, follow the constitution. If you are talking about India, respect the Indian national flag. Saffron, Hindu; white, Christians; green, Muslims; the wheel turning in between, all the rest, everybody mixed together, all the spokes, everybody together, everybody flying together, everybody in dignity with each other, everybody valuing each other. That's our national flag. Respect it. Respect the constitution of the country, and there will be no problem. You don't need to do Jai Shri Ram and go and kill a Muslim. You don't need to do Allahu Akbar and go and kill a Hindu. Don't need to do that. You don't need to
Don't
burn a.
make God's name into war cry.
Exactly. Because whoever is doing this are pure idiots. Allah means mother. In Sanskrit, take a Sanskrit dictionary, Allah means mother. So when you are saying Allahu Akbar, I'll kill you are just killing in the name of Jai Mata Di and killing the Hindu.
चलो
Ram,
अभी अभी
हाँ,
वक्त को भी देखते हैं। अभी 1 घंटा 15 मिनट भी हो गए हैं
Okay.
हमारे साथ।
Uh,
जी जी।
he is
वेल,
uncomfortable with
मैं
that answer.
आपको ये कह दूं मिश्रा
हाँ,
जी, मैंने कोई खंडन नहीं करना चाहता हूं कि भाई हम
जी,
आपकी जो टॉपिक है उसको हमें 1 घंटे में नहीं कर सकते हैं। हमें
नहीं क्या
और टाइम चाहिए। हम इसको एपिसोड को .2 भी लेके आएंगे। व्हाट यू से डॉक्टर मनीषा जी?
yes, we can, and we can address some more uncomfortable questions,
जी जी
especially on this topic. Yeah, we can, especially on this topic, Pavanji. Anyways, I hope you will be answering a lot this on other platforms as well. You know,
Yes, but
it's your duty to do
I
that.
would wish to still interject and give this final message. Please do not kill each other, hate each other in the name of God. Let's not do that.
फैंटास्टिक मैसेज।
Rather,
यस,
let's unite each other, explore the differences of our practices, enrich each other, unite each other, be in
Absolutely.
love with one another. In the name of God, let's come together. For God's sake, let's come together.
हरदेवी
Very, very
पूरा
beautifully.
तनवानी, शी वांट्स टू हियर मिश्रा जी अगेन। ओके,
Yeah,
हमारे
so
साथ
everybody wants to hear you again in a round two. We will have. Is
जी।
Raju here, Papni
नो,
ji?
I have a
Oh,
Mr. Dr. Mohan Lion from Chile. He's on this one. So let me bring him on a screen.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.
Really, it's very interesting. And whatever you are saying right now, love is God, God is love. It's true.
Yes.
जी, अभी इन्होंने जो बताया था, आई वैल्यू यू, मैंने नोट कर दिया, आई वैल्यू यू, क्रिएट न्यू वर्ल्ड, उसमें हम प्यार का जो आज मैसेज भेजा है आपने, सो हम, जो तुम वो हम, बहुत ब्यूटीफुली आपने एक्सप्लेन किया, छोटी छोटी बातें हैं, इसको पॉइंटर्स करके मैंने रख दिया है। अहम ब्रह्मास्मि तत्वमसि, इसका भी एक्सप्लेनेशन आपने बहुत सरल लैंग्वेज में बताया। पॉजिटिव साइकोलॉजी होनी चाहिए, इस बारे में आपने जो एक्सप्लेन किया इस शेप में। हैप्पी कॉज गिव मोर मिल्क, उसके ऊपर भी आपने, मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर भी अच्छा कवर किया। तो आपको मैं यही बात कर सकता हूँ, आप ज्ञान गुनी सागर हो। एक सवाल मेरा है, एक सवाल है, मैं हनुमान चालीसा जब पढ़ता हूँ तो उसमें एक लिखा है, जो 7 बार पाठ कर कोई छोटी बंदी महासुख होई। 7 बार मतलब जो 100 बार करे, इसका मुझे अर्थ बताएंगे, क्यों 100 बार, एक बार नहीं कर सकते हैं या 2 बार
हमने
करें?
हमने उसको एक्सप्लेन किया है कि वहाँ 7 बार को 100 बार मान लिया गया कहने के लिए। 100 बार मतलब नहीं कहते मैंने तुम्हें 100 बार ये बात समझाई है, इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि 100 बार ही गिन करके समझाई होगी,
जी,
कहते हजारों बार समझा दिए तुम्हें। तो 7 बार का अर्थ हुआ अनेक बार पाठ करे, अनेक बार बार पाठ करता ही रहे, गिनती के 100 नहीं है वो। 7 बार का मतलब हुआ अनेक बार कर ले। लेकिन उसके अलावा जो हमने इसमें शब्द को पकड़ा वो है सत, जो 7 बार पाठ करे, सच्चा पाठ। सच्चा पाठ कब होगा, जब पूरी की पूरी चालीसा को आप समझ के उसकी जो आत्मा है, चालीसा जैसे चालीसा आप में जीवंत हो जाए, और उस भाव से आप जब पाठ करते हैं तो वो 7 बार होगा। उससे छूटे बंदी महासुख होए, सुख होए नहीं लिखा है, तो महासुख किसको कहते हैं और बंदी किसको कहते हैं? यहाँ पर बात आ गया, त्र्यंबकम यजामहे सुगंधिम पुष्टिवर्धनम उर्वारुकमिव बंदनान मृत्योर मुक्षीय मां अमृतात। तो जो महासुख है वो अमृतत्व की प्राप्ति है, और जो बंदी है, बंदीपने से छूटने की बात करी गई, वो है ये जब जीवन का जो ये कर्माशय
मोक्ष।
पक जाएगा, हाँ इस जीवन मुझे मृत्यु ना मिले, मैं बस जब कर्माशय पक जाए तो शरीर गिर जाए, बस मैं लुढ़क जाऊं एक पके हुए कद्दू की तरह, और मैं अमृतत्व को प्राप्त हो जाऊं, वह है महासुख की बात। यहाँ लोग सोचते हैं मैं जेल चला गया तो 100 बार पढ़ लूंगा तो जेल से छूट जाऊंगा, छूटे बंदी महासुख। अब लेकिन आप बताइए, अगर ऐसी बात, या तो ऐसी बात सच होती तो सारे बंदी बाहर होते, और अगर ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है इसका मतलब चालीसा झूठ है। दो में से एक ही बात हो सकती है ना। तो हमारी जो समझ है हमको उसको परिष्कृत करना है, उसको दिव्य करना है, तो तब ये बात आएगी।
जी
And
मनीषा जी,
I would also like to tell all the viewers who are listening and who have really liked Pavanji to read his book, Living Hanuman. I mean, this is something where whatever he knows, he has just put it in that. You know, his whole essence is there. वो आप कभी भी कहीं से भी उठा के पढ़ सकते हैं, आपको समझ में आएगी और बहुत आनंद आएगा. So this is something that people can do, and people in Thailand can order it and he can send it. The only thing is, if somebody is going to India, you know, you can get it from India also. It's the same thing, Amazon mein. So it is like really beautiful. Every verse is translated and written there. Somebody just wrote there. So everything, all your answers will be there in this book. And Bhavanji, thank you so much for coming. And I really feel that uncomfortable questions should be answered to be more clear in life, to develop clarity, clarification, our own and others, you know, who are misunderstanding so many concepts. And I'm really very, very happy to do this interview with you, and all the best for future. And I hope you will continue doing what you're doing with others there as well, and you know, have a series of uncomfortable questions which you'll answer. Thank you
I
so
like to
much.
say, I
Thank
like to
you.
say thank you to Dr. Manisha. You really brought, you would keep talking about Pawan Mishra ji and his book. I know it's already 3 months we've been talking on this one. finally you brought him on the show. I really appreciate Pawan Mishra ji that you came in, and I would like to invite you once again with Dr. Manisha to we talk further on this one. And हमसे जुड़े हुए हैं डॉक्टर मोहन सोनी फ्रॉम चिली, तो उनसे भी 2 मिनट हम उनसे बात करके हम अपने शो को एंड करेंगे. जी, डॉक्टर मोहन सोनी जी.
थैंक यू वेरी मच पपनी सर. आप स्पिरिचुअल लीडर्स को यहाँ पर बुलाकर शो में सबको स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज देते हैं. इतना रियली में आई एंजॉय सो मच. हमें इतना आनंद आता है ये स्पिरिचुअल बातें सुनकर खो जाते हैं जैसे.
जी जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच. एक हरदेवी ने बोला शी विल मेक अ ऑर्डर, तो एक तो आ गया. जी,
थैंक यू.
ओके, मैं भी ले लूंगा एक बुक.
And also somebody was asking what is Vastu and its significance, and Pavanji, I think she's known to you, so you can answer her there, and in the next session we can come up. You know, I'm always coming up with many comfortable and uncomfortable questions. Smriti, what is Vastu? Pavanji will answer you personally because we are running out of time. So sorry, it's almost 11 here in Thailand. We are 1.5 hours ahead of you. So you can answer her separately. And thank you very much for coming, and hope we can have more sessions soon on this channel again.
Ji, thank you very much. Good night, and we'll see you.
Thank you very much, everyone.